Welcome to techCast, the podcast that quenches curiosity, powered by QNA Marcom. techCast, where we deep dive into the exciting world of technology, bringing you the latest trends, innovations, and thought-provoking discussions. Join us on this exciting journey as we explore the boundless possibilities of technology.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of techCast powered by QNA Marcom. My name is Swapna Subramani, and I'm your host for today. We have a very interesting topic to discuss today, which is the payment security in the financial sector. And to discuss this, we have a very interesting person, Mr. Nitin Bhatnagar, who is the Regional Director for India, South Asia, and Middle East for PCI Security Standards Council. Welcome, Mr. Nitin.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you here today. And thanks for taking out the time to be part of QNA's techCast series.
I appreciate the same. After a heavy rainfall in Dubai, I think I could make it from India.
Yes.
I think that's the best part to it. And I think
Amazing.
thank you to the QNA Marcom for inviting me for this podcast.
Pleasure is all ours. Can we just start by, telling us a little bit about yourself, how you landed up in such an important sector today and what brings you here?
Sure. So, as you rightly have introduced me, my name is Nitin Bhatnagar, and I've been into the payments space for almost close to 2 decades now, and started my journey with working for an information security consulting firm, and working for them for 10 years. Then I realized there's a lot to do in the payment space, and got an opportunity to work with the payment standards body, which is PCI Security Standards Council, and I've been working for them for close to now 6 years. And initially, I was being tasked to look after India, and then gradually my role got expanded to South Asia and now to the Middle East. Now that's quite interesting because I come from a core information security background, and the passion brought me to this field altogether. And I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of development in terms of what's happening in the payment space, what's the kind of new technologies that we are envisioning in the coming future, and how the standards plays an important role, right? And that's what has triggered me to basically be in this space and try to create a lot of education awareness around the standards so that the adoption rate for the standards can go up and we are able to secure the payment data.
Right, and it's so important. Like, it's such a critical area for
Absolutely.
This kind of regulatory, and standards certification. So so glad to have you as part of it, and a very big region as well that you're handling. So
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of responsibility.
It's going to be a little tough job for me at this point of time, but I love challenges.
Yes.
And I think this is one of the challenge where I need to make sure that the region understands the importance of these standards, its adoption, and how they can secure the payment data.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit more about the role of PCI in securing the global payment account data information?
Absolutely. So PCI Security Standards Council is a global standards body, a global forum, that develops standards. Mm-hmm. And we have been formed by the 5 major payment networks, which is Visa, MasterCard, Amex, JCB, and Discover.
Yes.
And, the PCI Security Standards Council focus on the development. In addition, they do provide trainings. Mm-hmm. We do provide educational and awareness, sessions. This is one of the educational, session that we are trying to do to educate the users on what PCI Security Standard does. Mm-hmm. And we are spread across globally. We are a global standards body, and our standards are global in nature and are adopted by various countries, various regions, right? Because our key focus is to secure the payment account data, right? And the PCI Security Standards Council is well positioned here, and because we are being a standards body, we have a lot on our plate in terms of understanding what the industry is going through, what are the challenges they're going through, what are the different forms of payments that industry is adopting today, because it has just changed dynamically, and that's where we welcome all the industry stakeholders to come forward and join us and contribute to the development of standards and influence these standards from the region specifics, right? Because every region has its own way of looking at the payment infrastructure, right? And that's being the global standards body, we welcome those inputs coming into us, and that helps us in making our standards. The PCI Security Standards Council standards that we have today, 15 data security standards, that helps us in evolving these standards and make sure that we are up to date we are making sure that the industry understand how these implementation of these standards works, and they're able to protect the payment data.
Okay, makes sense. And how exactly does the PCI Council engage with organizations?
So it's a very good question. I mean, how PCI Security Standards Council works is that we have different programs where the industry stakeholders can come forward and join.
Okay.
So let me classify that into a couple of aspects. One is we have a qualified security assessor program.
Okay.
They are the one who does audit on the standards of PCI. They are authorized by PCIs because we train them and make sure that these assessors are able to audit to these standards of the PCI security standards, right? They are able to audit these standards.
Right.
Now, what we do not do, let me clarify this as a disclaimer, is that we do not manage the compliance to these standards. The compliance to these standards are managed by the payment networks, which is Visa, MasterCard, Amex, JCB, and Discover. Right? Now, this is one part, the QSA, the Qualified Security Assessor. Then we have industry stakeholders, like we have associate participating organization, we have principal participating organization, and we have affiliate members. Now, the APOs are, the associate participating organization that come and join us and help us in improving on these standards, because they take part in the RFC process, which is request for comment, where there's a revision to the standard is required to happen. We open the RFCs to the industry stakeholders, and the APOs or the respective stakeholders who are required to provide inputs are the one invited to that. Right? Now there's a PPO, which is a principal participating organization, which we just last year introduced. And this is this membership of PPO is actually going to help PCI give us a direction for the future direction to the council, make some strategic decisions on what the industry is looking at. Right. So that's where the PPO roles comes into the picture, and they are highly involved in the decision making. And then we have the affiliate members, which are again a member which takes part in the working groups of the PCI Security Standards Council, where they make sure that for example, there is a mobile task force, we have tokenization task force, we have different other areas where they come and contribute to the aspects of where we need to work on, so that the standards team can make sure that these standards are evolving based on the current requirement of the industry. So this is the different ways they get involved. So another way that they get involved is because the APOs have a lot of power, even the PPOs have a lot of power. Both of them, every 2 years there is a board of advisors election. So board of advisors are the one are elected based on the nomination. So initially there is a nomination, whoever wants to be in a BOA, and there is an election that happens within the closed group of the community of APOs, PPOs, and affiliate member, and they elect them to be on the board. So initially the board was small. We had 28 board members, but last year we expanded the board of advisors to 54, which is a global board of advisors, which is making sure the board of advisors are making sure that these standards, the discussions that are happening globally, are being taken into consideration while we are developing this. And also definitely we are trying to make sure that the directions to the councils are correct based on the current scenarios that we are witnessing across the globe.
And that's so important to continue to be relevant, right?
Absolutely.
Because you mentioned tokenization, and I can't even imagine, in this whole cryptocurrency universe, that's like a whole different, ball game altogether, from like a departure from your, payments and so on. But can I, what kind of organizations today, you think must adopt PCI standards?
I think we answered that, But let me rephrase this. PCI security standards, standards core role is, if you're storing, processing, and or transmitting the payment account data, you have to adopt to the PCI standards. Now, any entity that does this has to understand, the dynamics of adoption of these standards. And I said, compliance to the standards are managed by the payment networks. And the payment networks have all the details pertaining to what is required to be done. Now, you talk about financial institutions. You have within the financial institutions, you have vendors, you have service providers, you have merchants. You just think about it, where all you make the payment transactions, right? when you're in a retail store, you're tap and pay your
Yes.
card, right?
Through your phone.
Yeah, or through a phone, right?
Yeah.
These are the modes of payments that has
Correct.
been accepted today, and they're evolving.
Yes.
These all payment forms are evolving, and I think that's where the industry needs to understand which standard would apply to them, right?
Absolutely.
Or which standard they should adopt, because as I said, we have 15 data security standards.
Yes.
Not necessarily all the 15 standards would be applicable to them.
True.
They have to do analysis on what standards would get applicable to them depending on the kind of business that they are into.
Fair enough. And so I know that the PCI DSS version 3.2.1 has officially expired as of 31st March.
It's retired.
It is retired as 2023. And now all the payment industry stakeholders adopt with the PCI DSS version 4.0.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the key changes in the latest version, you would say?
Yeah, I think it's a very important question for your listeners here.
Yeah.
So PCI DSS version 3.2.1 is retired, and
Goodbye.
We have been goodbye. We have been in the transition of 3.2.1 to 4.0 for last 2 years.
And it takes a while, I can imagine, because with the kind of ecosystem you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's the reason we have given the time frame of 24 months.
Wow.
Right, and we have been educating stakeholders. In fact, when I was last year here in Dubai, meeting the central bank, meeting the stakeholders, I've been educating them since then. Like, I think it's important if for some reason somebody has not transitioned themselves to 4.0, you have to do it now.
Yeah.
There's no second thought to it, because the changes that have come are major changes, because
course.
this is a major change to the standard of PCI DSS version, which is an output of 4.0. Now, the changes that have come on a couple of things. One is the multi-factor authentication.
Yes.
So multi-factor authentication requirement has been elaborated, and it has been significant in terms of the implementation. Also, we have some policies around some changes around the passwords.
Okay.
What is the length of the password should be, and also what is important in the standard is that we have evolved on the approach of how you should be validating with these standards.
Yes.
The different approaches that you can take to validate against the PCI DSS version 4.0. Now, these are the couple of few changes that have come, and which is critical. We have added few new requirements around phishing and the attacks that are happening across globally on the payment infrastructure. So these changes are prominent, and industry should
Critical,
start looking at its implementation. Now, when I say these requirements have been added, but we also thought it's not going to be so easy for the industry to pick it up. So we said these are going to be the best practices for some time. As you said, we have retired version 3.2.1. We are on 4.0. Similar way, we have also, for multi-factor authentication, for example, it's a best practice until 31st of March 2025. Now, that's a kind of a transition time that we have given to industry, so that they are able to adopt and implement with the right intent, right? So there are requirements which are best practices now until 31st of March 2025.
Then become
but
mandatory.
Post 31st March, which is April 1st, 2025, all requirements will be mandatory requirements within the standard.
Okay.
So these changes are coming, and just to add on the approach that the industry should take to implement the standard, we have defined approach, which was a standard approach where you just have the defined objectives, and you have the assessor coming in, reviewing the requirements, and just implementing them. Now, we have also added customized approach as an option. The customized approach is an option where you can choose, because there are a lot of new emerging technologies which the stakeholders are implementing today, right?
Yes.
Now, and it's sometimes what happens is that we have been getting feedback that this requirement is not working. We need to update on this requirement. How we can customize to meet our needs. So that's where we have come up with the customized approach as one of the requirement, where the industry stakeholders can adopt that approach. But only word of caution that I would like to give to the stakeholders: if you are a risk mature entity and you understand what you're getting into, because there are separate roles and responsibilities defined for the entity who is implementing the PCI DSS version 4.0 with the customized approach, and the one who is actually reviewing this control. So there is a separation of duties for the QSAs and for the entity while doing this or adopting to the approach of customized approach. Now, here the entity needs to understand, working with the trusted partners, working with when I say trusted partners, probably the QSAs, the ISAs. So ISAs here can play a very important role. For me, ISAs are internal security assessors.
Okay.
They are also trained by PCI. Now that what will happen is that when you have to define your own control objectives, you need that expertise within, right? And in order to develop those controls, if you have that expertise within, then it's easy for you to work with the QSA community and make sure that these requirements are being met with the right intent. Now, ISAs plays an important role alongside with the QSA, and there's a separation of duties there. And you cannot use QSA to basically define the controls because of the standard requirements, the way it has been structured. So that's where the customized approach comes into the play. And if I would only say that if you are risk mature, you understand what you are getting into, what and you have been implementing PCI for long, and you know the nitty-gritties around. The best way is to if you're adopting customized approach, that's the best way of doing it. Now that's what it's like, very simple. Don't get into it if you don't understand the nitty-gritties of it. And if
you have to be confident in
absolutely
right.
And these are all defined. Now if the stakeholders are not read PCI DSS version 4.0, I would again urge, read the standard, understand the standard, do a proper gap assessment, analysis of how the requirements are going to fit into their requirement, fit into their environment.
Fair enough. So, I mean, you mentioned that now, as steps towards adoption of PCI, there is different approaches, a custom approach as well. But what are some of the challenges that people that organize, your ecosystem is facing in adopting these challenges? And a question to that, attached question to that is like, what are some of the best practices that are emerging from those challenges, like to combat those challenges?
See, I feel one thing is for sure, if the industry stakeholders are reading our standards, they have to internally prepare themselves. They have to do some kind of a create a steering committee within who can understand on the requirements of standard. If you're abreast on these standards, I think things can be real easy. Right. And you have to be strong enough to adopt to these changes of the standards, right? The challenges are going to be there, but the point is, if you are understanding what these challenges are, what are these implementation challenges are, then it's easy, because you are working in an ecosystem where you have the trusted partners with you. True. Choosing the right partner to work is very critical. And the collaboration with the stakeholders of PCI or with the PCI itself is going to help you out in long run to know what's happening globally, right? That's what I said. Joining us as an APO, or probably as a PPO, it is going to give you what's happening in the global payment landscape, right? What are the challenges that the global payment industry is facing, and those learnings that you get from
helps
these,
you stay up to date as well.
You stay up to date, right? And security is a continuous process at the end of the day, right? You once you implement the standard, you can't just say that it's done. No, it's a continuous process. You have to keep evolving, and more importantly, the global collaboration is going to help the organization overcome these challenges.
And how do, from your experience, what are some of the organizations done to ensure seamless adoption? Of course, you mentioned that having an internal team and a steering committee is one of them. Anything else, like maybe as an advice to the listeners, is like, what can they do to make sure that they have seamless adoption of the standards?
First and foremost, the stakeholders need to understand which standard is going to be applicable to them. Right? That's the key understanding, because there's always, because we have I keep presenting, I'm sure coming ahead, we are going to have some kind of an event which is planned. I'm going to make sure that specific slide I talk in detail, which talks about the payment system, payment ecosystem actors. I call them actors, and these actors are different actors where each actor has to make sure that they adopt to these standards of PCI, right? Now that's what is very, very critical. Now, if you understand which standard is applicable to you, the life is going to be so easy. Because if the stakeholders are complicated, they are not able to understand, it becomes more like a chaotic situation. But as I said, again, I will repeat, use the trusted partners, use QSAs, use ISAs, use validated applications that are listed on the PCI website. That is going to help you align your goals to meet the requirements of PCI and adopt the standards in a right fashion.
Okay, makes sense. And I think, it's a very relevant topic and very relevant in today's scenario because, like you said, security is a continuous process. The financial sector landscape is so dynamic.
Absolutely.
So in a dynamic landscape, security becomes even more important. So,
So true. Yeah.
and we do have like Middle East's first payment security summit that's going to be held on
Yeah.
11th of June. And what would be like one of your like PCI Council's key message? We also know that some prominent people from the industry are going to be part of it. Mr. Hussein Shafiq Bhagat from who's a group CISO of Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank, he's going to be part of it. Vipin Bajkaran, head of information security at First Abu Dhabi Bank, as well as Venu Sriraj, CISO Magnati. So we have some key prominent people from the ecosystem, banks, payment gateways, and so on. So, as PCI Council, what is going to be your key message at this, the first of its kind payment security, summit in Dubai?
I would like to congratulate first of all QNA Marcom for taking this initiative because I
Thank
think
you.
I heard this is one of the first payment security
Yes.
summit that is happening in Middle East in Dubai, and the PCI Security Standards Council focuses is, as I said, is education and awareness.
Yes.
To whatever extent we are able to educate these stakeholders here, understanding on the importance of adoption of the standard, understanding what are the standards that we have, what are the standards updates, latest standard updates that in terms of the adoption, in terms of the changes that are coming by. We are going to make sure that they are updated about that. We will also want that the stakeholders who are going to come should understand the importance of adopting these standards because we want to also highlight why it is important for the stakeholders in the Middle East to come forward and join us.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a global collaboration that is going to happen in this forum, and I think we want to make sure that the message that I would have is that please join us because there's a lot. By the time we come again in June, there are going to be more changes that may come by. There are going to be more inputs, more suggestions that we may get, and I would love to share with them so that this is like it's just not going to be giving all. We would just want to have a give and take, a kind of relationship which is more collaborative, and and we have to work together because this is a global challenge. The cybersecurity is a global challenge, and we all have to come together to fight this menace. Alone, we cannot do anything. It's all the stakeholders who are important key stakeholders for us, so that we can drive education awareness and make sure that the standard adoption rates goes up.
Makes sense and extremely relevant today's in today's world, and only going to be increasing in relevance as we further, as like the next generation comes into like making payments and buying things and so on. Security is going to be of utmost importance.
Absolutely.
I think that's all the questions. I think we just like zoomed through it, and thank you so much, Mr. Nitin, for your valuable time today, and we look forward to hearing more from you on this topic at the Middle East Payment Security Summit that's going to be happening in Dubai on 11th of June, where we have a prominent list of speakers who are going to be coming and sharing their insights as well, and I'm sure it'll be like very beneficial to everybody who's attending the event. So thank you once again for your time today. It was an absolute pleasure having you here at our studios. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine, and I think I would love to be part of this Middle East forum that's going to happen.
We look forward to it. And stay tuned for more. Thank you, everyone.